Can an autistic person be a doctor? Well, check this out. The good Dr. Shawn suddenly spots his dead brother in the hospital. He whirls around and is gobsmacked. Holy smokes, isn't that my bro? This is just nuts. Shawn gets reeled in. After peeking at the medical scoop, he pieces it together. So, the kid's called Evan, and he's a carbon copy of Shawn's brother. Good grief, there's actually someone who looks like a twin in this world. During their chinwag, Shawn realizes their personalities jibe too. Evan busted his arm in a spill. Shawn helps size up his condition. Your arm's in a sorry state, fractured real bad, but you don't need pins for now. Evan spills that he took a tumble during a field jaunt. Shawn clocks something fishy with Evan's eyes and runs a quick test, wiggling his finger and asking Evan to follow. Genius Dr. Shawn can tell in a split second that a patient with a broken arm has something going on in his brain. Evan's got nystagmus and his eyes are moving all wonky. So Shawn sets up a brain CT for Evan. A patient with a broken arm getting a brain CT? Looks like Shawn's about to strut his stuff again. Just then, Dr. Glassman strolls by and spots the boy too. Dr. Glassman says to Shawn, "This kid looks just like your brother. It's uncanny. Any chance there's a family connection?" Shawn goes, "It's just a coincidence. And more to the point, my brother's already passed on." Then Shawn just takes off. Shawn takes Evan to get the brain CT. They're chatting it up. Shawn mentions he has autism. Evan says he had an autistic pal too. Nice guy, but he kicked the bucket not long ago. Seems like these two are meant to cross paths. Then Dr. Melendez barges in and gives Shawn a hard time. Shawn, the autistic genius doctor, Dr. Melendez is all like, "Isn't it a bit overkill to order a brain CT for a patient with a broken arm?" But the next second, Shawn drops the bombshell that there's a tumor in Evan's brain. Well, that sure shut him up fast. Dr. Melendez checks out the film. Damn, Shawn nailed it again. He doesn't chew Shawn out anymore. Then Evan's parents show up. Shawn goes over and breaks it to them. The broken arm's no biggie, but Evan's got a tumor in his brain that's messing with his balance because of nerve compression. But Evan's parents are surprisingly chill. Turns out they already knew Evan had a tumor. It's a late-stage osteosarcoma and there's no hope for a cure. They were scared of freaking Evan out with such a heavy-duty illness and kept it from him. Shawn can't wrap his head around why people lie. If you can tell the truth, why not? He figures Evan should be in the loop. Shawn goes to have a word with Dr. Glassman, but Dr. Glassman doesn't see eye to eye with him. He says they ought to respect the parents' call. There's actually someone in this darn world who just can't tell a lie. Shawn asks Dr. Claire to do him a solid and lie to the kid about his illness. Dr. Claire, being the sweetheart she is, gives in. She tells Evan that he's got to stay in the hospital a while longer for that busted arm of his, and that aside from the fracture, he's fit as a fiddle. But Evan's no slouch. He's as sharp as a tack and not about to be bamboozled. With just a couple of well-placed questions, he gets Shawn to cough up the truth that they're hiding something. And Shawn, being as straight as an arrow, just lays it out for the kid. You've got a tumor in that noggin of yours. It's terminal. You ain't got much time left on this earth. But Evan takes it in stride. He had a hunch about it long ago, because lately his parents have been treating him like a king. They let him game his heart out and even splurged on all kinds of cool skins. Evan's a practical sort and says he ain't scared of kicking the bucket. What gives him the heebie-jeebies is the painful process of dying. If tomorrow's my last day, I'll take it like a champ. Evan's words hit Shawn right in the gut. Shawn's determined to pull out all the stops and save Evan, like he's trying to save his own kin. After poring over piles of research, leafing through stacks of medical records, Shawn reaches a conclusion.
Evan doesn't have cancer.
Even the top-of-the-line hospital can screw up a diagnosis. First thing in the morning, Shawn spills the beans to Dr. Melendez. Shawn says Evan might have been misdiagnosed. It ain't osteosarcoma, but histiocytosis, and it's curable. But Dr. Melendez ain't buying it. He figures since other hospitals have called it osteosarcoma twice, the odds of a misdiagnosis are a measly 0.3%. It's pretty much a pipe dream. Shawn takes his research to Dr. Glassman. Seeing how dead set Shawn is, Dr. Glassman gives him a tip. Keep it under wraps. Sneak a biopsy on the kid to confirm. When Shawn's doing the biopsy, he just can't help himself and blurts out the truth again. Your illness might be histiocytosis. It ain't cancer. You can beat this thing. Evan's eyes light up like a Christmas tree. He's got a new lease on life. Just then, Evan's parents barge in. Shawn's so jittery that he spills the whole shebang. The parents find out that Shawn spilled the beans about the cancer to the kid. Now they're all over Shawn, giving him an earful. A 12-year-old kid with a terminal illness. It's a real heartbreaker. Out of the blue, Evan starts spitting up blood. He needs to be rushed into surgery pronto. It's another heart-stopping open chest operation. Dr. Melendez and Dr. Claire search high and low and finally spot the embolism that's clogging the artery. After a grueling 3-hour surgery, they manage to clear out the embolism. But Dr. Melendez also nails down Evan's illness. He tells Evan's parents the surgery was a success. The heart's ticking like it should. But Evan's got some rib damage. It's a dead giveaway for osteosarcoma. Shawn, who's standing by, hears this and feels like he's been punched in the gut. His diagnosis was way off. This is the first time Shawn's been wrong. And it means the osteosarcoma's spread to the chest. Evan's only got a week or two left to live. Lying in the hospital bed, Evan tells his parents, "I knew I had a terminal illness all along. Don't you go getting all weepy. Even if I'm gone, I won't be all by my lonesome. Grandma, Aunt Erin, and Uncle Jim are waiting for me. They'll look after me." Evan looks like the spitting image of Shawn's dead brother, but he's got a terminal illness. Come nightfall, Shawn drops by to see Evan. Shawn says sorry to Evan for giving him false hope, but the kid just cracks a smile. No sweat.
But for a minute there, it was pretty awesome.
Shawn plunks himself down by Evan's bedside and starts reading aloud from To Kill a Mockingbird. This here's a second-hand book that Shawn passed on to his brother way back when. His brother was nuts about it. Shawn notices from the bookmark that his brother didn't get to the end before the accident. Now Shawn's reading out the ending of the book. Shawn's treating Evan like his own brother and making his brother's wish to finish the book come true. After that, Shawn hands the book to Evan and leaves it right there by his bedside. Then Shawn just takes the bookmark. And that's the last we see of Evan in the flick. Over in another ward, there's a father and son with a major beef. This here's the most shiftless son I've ever laid eyes on. First thing in the morning, David, the son, gets back from Thailand. But his old man wants to give him the cold shoulder because his wife passed away and the son didn't show up. David's been gone for a good 6 months with nary a peep. The father grudgingly lets David in, but the next second he keels over. At the hospital, Dr. Claire and the crew diagnose it as alcohol-induced pancreatitis. By the bedside, David tries to explain that he missed his mother's funeral cause he was smitten. His gal pal's a teacher in Thailand and she's a real sweetheart, but she's got a congenital heart defect, so he couldn't skedaddle. Still, the father ain't buying it. I mean, David didn't even bother to make a single phone call in the past half year. That's just plain wrong. There's an awkward hush in the air. During the follow-up exam, it turns out there are worms in David's father's noggin. Folks who keep pets better watch out for parasites. There are cystic tapeworms in David's father's brain. This is the kind of parasite that usually latches onto humans after they rub elbows with animals. But the worms in David's father's head are smack dab in his brain. They gotta crack his skull open to get them out. The dean, Dr. Glassman's the lead surgeon, and Dr. Kalu's the assistant. This is one heck of a slick craniotomy. It's so realistic. Here's the lowdown. First, they use a little electric saw to slice open the skull cap. Once it's open, there's hardly any blood. There's a membrane inside that looks like a plastic tarp. Use some scissors to peel back the membrane, and there's the brain. In David's father's brain, the tapeworms have set up a huge colony. Dr. Glassman uses saline to yank out the worm blob that's about the size of a bouncy ball. Just look at that. Such a big blob in the brain. What a world of hurt for the patient. You could say this kind of surgical eye candy you'd never catch a glimpse of if you didn't tune in to The Good Doctor. Thankfully, the surgery's a roaring success. The old-timer can live for a few more decades, and David sticks by his father. He ain't going nowhere. With Dr. Kalu smoothing things over, David finally spills the beans in front of his father. Turns out David's girlfriend in Thailand gave him the heave-ho, and he didn't want to come back because he wasn't ready to take over the family grocery store. David was scared he'd botch it, and just like that, the rift between the father and son is mended. David's father ain't gonna force his son to do squat. This is the 5th episode of the first season of The Good Doctor. For all you pet owners out there, don't forget to deworm your furry pals regularly. Otherwise, it could be a real nightmare. All right, that's all for this episode. The Good Doctor series will keep on trucking. If you dig it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Catch you next time. Bye.